Hi, and welcome to the TEALS School Info Session. This is for schools interested in partnering during the 17-18 school year. My name is Caitlin Deere. I am the TEALS Southwest Regional Manager. A little bit about me. Before I joined the TEALS team, I was an engineer at Amazon and a TEALS volunteer for one of our partner schools in Seattle. I'm going to discuss what partnering with TEALS looks like and touch on a few important topics you'll want to know before you start your application. Before we dive into partnership details, I want to share some numbers with you regarding computer science education. It turns out that there's a lot of support for adding CS courses from many levels. Parents are some of the biggest champions, with an overwhelming majority in agreement that CS is as important as core classes. The majority of administrators and teachers not only believe that CS is important, but that it should be a required class. With this level of support, you'd expect every high school to have a rigorous computer science program. Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. One data point we can use to measure this is AP exam popularity. Let's see how the number of AP tests taken in computer science last year measures up to other AP subjects. This chart shows the number of tests taken in each AP subject last school year. As you can see, computer science is way down here. Why are there so few students taking AP computer science? Well, the majority of schools aren't offering computer science, so we just don't have the exposure necessary to get these numbers where they belong. We'd really expect computer science to fall somewhere up here with other STEM subjects such as biology, physics, and economics. It's important to note that computer science education isn't simply about filling those open positions. Having a working understanding of technology is becoming a necessary skill set. We need citizens who have at least a basic understanding of key CS concepts, such as privacy and big data, so they can help our democracy adapt to our country's changing needs. The computational thinking skills students learn will strengthen their problem-solving abilities and will carry over into any career they choose. Now let's look at computer science education at the state level. First, let's talk about Washington, where TEALS was founded in 2009. You would expect a state with such a strong tech presence to heavily integrate computer science education into its schools. The reality is, only 2% of AP exams taken last year were in computer science, and while this number increases each year, it shows that the exposure isn't where it needs to be. Not only are we not reaching the majority of students, but the diversity of computer science classrooms is severely lacking, with women and underrepresented minorities making up small fractions of the average CS class. Well, maybe Washington's an exception to the rule, so let's look at another tech hub, California, to see if that's true. Unfortunately, California's test numbers are even lower. As far as demographics, we see a very similar picture to Washington, where the class demographics do not match the demographics of the state. What we just saw in Washington and California is generally representative of the rest of the country. Let's look at a few more states. You can see a pattern of both low participation in AP/CS exams, as well as class demographics not being representative of that state's population. So this is where TEALS comes in. TEALS partners with schools to build and grow rigorous, sustainable computer science programs. We place a team of trained volunteers in the classroom with the teacher during first period, and this team is collectively responsible for running the class. Schools receive volunteer support as well as access to our curriculum, training materials, and community of volunteers and teachers both locally and nationally. TEALS was created by experienced educators and industry professionals and continues to be molded by feedback from both communities to ensure the program stays relevant and effective. The program is generously supported by Microsoft Philanthropies and is reaching 225 schools in 25 states this school year. TEALS covers a wide area nationally. As you can see, Washington is our most popular state, but we have quite a few schools in other locations such as New York, San Francisco, and DC. We also have schools acting as trailblazers around the country, helping us break into more areas and give more students the opportunity to learn CS. As you can imagine, this provides us a wide range of school and student populations to work with and learn from as we expand the program. So let's take a look at the landscape in terms of who TEALS partners with. Public, charter, private, rural, urban, you name it, TEALS has partnered there. If a school wants to have a computer science program, we want to be there to support them. As far as the diversity of our classrooms, TEALS has twice the industry average participation from female students and 3 times participation from underrepresented minorities. Nearly all of our students see themselves as college-bound, so they're very ambitious, and most of them have never taken a CS class before. Many of them are also otherwise active in the school community through sports or clubs or volunteering. TEALS has a few models to best match the needs of your teacher. Most teachers start in the co-teaching model, and the volunteer team has a high level of responsibility here. They are responsible for almost all preparing, planning, and grading for the class, as well as lesson delivery and student assistance for labs, homework, and projects. Over time, as the teacher is immersed in the course and learning as a student would, they will begin becoming more involved in the class, maybe teaching a class once a week or helping to grade a lab or project. We expect the teacher's comfort level and content mastery to improve over the first 2 years when they move into the lab support model. At this point, the teacher is responsible for around 85% of the course content, and volunteers play more of a support role, answering student questions during lab and assisting the teacher to move toward content mastery. Once teachers are confident leading 100% of the course, they move into the classroom enrichment model. This model support level will vary for each partner, and you and your TEALS regional manager will decide on the best option for your class. In all three models, classroom management is always covered by the teacher. In this case, the trained expert in the classroom is the teacher, and we expect them to be ultimately responsible for handling any classroom management issues. Also, a teacher doesn't necessarily have to start in co-teaching. You and your TEALS regional manager will work together to determine the best level of support for your teacher. Now I'll tell you about each of our class offerings. First, we'll talk about our Introduction to Computer Science course. This course is appropriate for 9th through 12th grade and is a survey course meant to expose students to basic programming theory. It's based on UC Berkeley's CS10 course and can be run as a semester-long course or a year-long course. The first semester is taught in Snap, an educational drag-and-drop programming language that allows a lot of easy graphics and customization. The second semester, if running a year-long class, is taught in Python, a powerful text-based language used in industry. The textbook for this class is called Blown to Bits, and you can read more about that in our implementation guide. AP Computer Science A is most similar to a college-level introduction course for computer science majors. Our curriculum is based on the University of Washington's CSE 142-143 course. This class is very rigorous, along the lines of an AP Calculus class. Students will learn a programming language called Java, an industry-standard text-based programming language. This class is appropriate for 10th through 12th graders with Algebra 2 completion. The textbook is called Building Java Programs, and you can find more information on that in the implementation guide. AP Computer Science Principles is a new class, first offered publicly in the 16-17 school year. It complements AP Computer Science A but does not replace it. AP Computer Science Principles covers a wide range of computer science topics and includes a programming component. TEALS has a limited number of curriculum partners nationwide for this course. The classroom teacher will attend the PD offered by the curriculum partner, and TEALS will provide 1 to 2 volunteers to assist in the lab support model. The co-teaching model is not available for this course. Some schools are not going to have enough local tech to fill their volunteer needs. In this case, we have a remote model to support the class. Instead of volunteers being physically in the classroom, we beam them in using teleconferencing software. There is an additional summer PD requirement for remote teaching teams, as well as additional equipment requirements in the classroom, which you can read more about in the implementation guide. Our TEALS volunteers have a wide range of backgrounds and experience. We have over 400 companies represented. 25% have at least a graduate degree. 25% of our volunteers are female, and 32% are people of color. 42% have at least 11 years of experience in the computer science field. We work with your school to find the best possible volunteers for your class. Recruiting volunteers is a joint effort between the school and your regional manager. We expect all of our partner schools to send an email to their school community explaining the partnership and asking for volunteers to join the program. This is one of our strongest recruitment tools. We'll also explore other avenues in your area for volunteer recruitment, such as local companies and connections, as well as civic leaders such as mayors and state legislators. TEALS also focuses on national partners, and your TEALS regional manager will give talks at nearby companies and organizations to help with recruiting. The more assistance your school can provide in this process, the better chance of finding the best possible volunteers for your classroom. Once we've identified volunteer candidates, your school and your TEALS regional manager will work together to interview and place the volunteers. Over the summer, your volunteers will be training in how to effectively run a high school computer science course. They already know computer science, so our training mainly focuses on key education principles to prepare them for the classroom. We demonstrate and practice various instructional methods. We talk about SWABAT, Bloom's taxonomy, lesson planning, and how to interact with both the students and teaching team during instruction and lab, among other things. Teaching teams have time to practice various methods and provide feedback to one another, as well as receive feedback from the TEALS team. Your classroom teacher is highly encouraged to attend this training with their volunteers, so the teaching team can begin to form a cohesive unit before class begins. Let's talk about the responsibilities of the school in the TEALS partnership. Schools need to designate a partnership coordinator. This person will serve as the primary TEALS point of contact at the school and will be responsible for ensuring the rest of the partnership requirements are met by the school. Schools must choose a classroom teacher who meets our partnership requirements. The school is required to conduct 2 to 4 observations of the class per year and provide feedback to their TEALS regional manager on how things are going. The school is responsible for providing any class materials and equipment necessary for the class, and these must be ready prior to the first day of school. Schools are required to plan an appropriate volunteer onboarding process, including any background checks, school and network access, parking passes, or ID cards that will be required for volunteers. It is critical that your partner class is scheduled first period so volunteers can attend regularly. Schools are required to budget and pay for the volunteer stipend or reimbursements, depending on the model. Schools must attend the back-to-school meeting in August so we can finalize the plan for the first days of class. We expect schools to embrace and support their volunteer team throughout the school year. Schools need to facilitate and encourage course handoff with their partner teacher. And finally, we expect schools to grow their computer science program. This can mean offering more sections of the same course or adding more courses and extracurricular opportunities. So you've watched the school info session. Next steps are to read the implementation guide and the partnership agreement, both of which can be found at tealsk12.org/schools. Once you've done that, it's time to apply on our website at the same URL before the application deadline in February. Once we receive an application from your school, a TEALS regional manager will reach out to schedule an interview with your school to discuss partnership options. In the meantime, begin sharing information about TEALS with your local community and start making connections with your local tech companies to help with volunteer recruitment. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to your application.